Huge thanks to Tim Collins and Ben Wells, and a special thanks to monthly coffee members Matteo Locatelli, Paul W, Tony Parks, Barry McGeer, 𝗼𝗵𝗍𝙍, Mike Rue and 𝗼𝗍𝙁 𝗠𝙁𝙁. Thank you for everyone else that buys me a coffee. It's massively appreciated. Thanks. Hello folks, back once again with a quick roundup of this week's news stories. We're starting off on Auto Express. I'm going to get straight to the content just after you've given this video a thumbs up, there's my thumb, and subscribed if you haven't already done so. Thanks. So Škoda is working on a new baby SUV that's going to sit at the bottom of their all-electric range, and the price tag should be around about the same as a Fabia. Now there's a lot of guesswork and what ifs and what could be's in this, but they're saying that the original target date of 2023 has been pushed back to 2026, obviously because of all the supply chain issues and the outstanding order book, I would imagine. But this is great. Every week we're seeing more and more car companies talking about cheap EVs, which hopefully means they won't be the preserve of sort of the upper middle class going forwards. So good news. New 2024 aerial hypercar revealed with 1180 brake horsepower. This is bananas, this thing. You know Ariel from the Ariel Atom. They're based down in Somerset, not too far from me. And look at this little thing, it's nuts. The Atom's obviously all open, just really a track day car. And this thing looks like, I don't know, Batman's go-kart or something. It's nuts. Aptly named the aerial hypercar, this radical new model boasts 4 electric motors, a carbon fibre body, and a 0 to 60 time of just 2.09 seconds. The cabin's fully enclosed for the first time in an aerial product, with an aero-optimised body that features butterfly doors and a raft of air pathways to generate downforce and stability at speed. But they say here the defining mechanical feature is an optional turbine range extender. That will give you more than the 150-mile range that the car will have. This range extender is built by Cosworth. The unit sits at the rear of the car and generates 35 kilowatt of power to top up the battery on the move. It's able to run on petrol or other fuels. Interesting. No clues here as to what those other fuels may be, however. New BMW XM Super SUV revealed in patent images. As the first bespoke end car since the M1, the BMW XM will arrive with brutish styling inspired by the concept XM show car. I'm not a fan of it at all. This is just a patent image, so of course it may look considerably different to that when it's a living and breathing thing. It's going to be a hybrid powered SUV with 644 brake horsepower. So images of it here. I'm not a fan of this whatsoever. I think it looks like a bit of a turd. In fact, I'm not a fan of the iX, which a lot of people really love the look of. It's not really one for me. For me, it's not an interesting car. It looks like a minibus or something. It's huge. I don't know. Not one for me, but maybe one for you. New MG ZS to spearhead brands' plans to refresh every model. MG's planning to update every model in its line by 2024 and will be a fully electric brand by 2027. That looks much, much better than the current version of the ZS, but I have to wonder why they would bother just yet, because the ZS is hugely popular. And I mean, they stopped taking orders a little while ago because they couldn't supply them. So you think, when the current one's that popular, do you really need to spend money facelifting it? I guess they're thinking into the future. If this is not going to be out until 2024, maybe that'll get pushed back 2025. Maybe it makes a bit more sense. New Toyota BZ3 saloon will sit along the BZ4X. These images leaked online. Here we go. So I guess this is really a replacement for the Prius. It's an interesting looking car. It's certainly more attractive than the Prius, in my humble opinion. What do you think? I'm sure we'll find out a bit more about that car in the fullness of time. Right, just thought I'd show you this. Steve Fowler, the editor of Auto Express, has done an article here. You could get a BYD on your driveway before a VW. BYD are on their way to the UK. I made a hideous mistake in last week's video by admitting that I'd never heard of them, which seemed to absolutely disgust some people. Unfortunately, I've been too busy engaging in life to really focus on the Chinese EV market. Once they come over here, I'll be massively interested in them. Quite interesting that they could be on our shores quicker than perhaps a factory ordered VW at the moment. And Steve goes on in this article to say, you know, it wasn't long ago that we didn't know about Kia and Hyundai, and look where they are now. And brands like BYD and Aura are likely to follow a same kind of path in the UK car market. Average cost of UK car insurance topped £700 in the second quarter of 2022, but drivers can still save an average of more than £100 by switching provider. This information comes from Compare the Market. Price hikes are down to increased costs and pressures for insurers, including the increase in second-hand car prices, rising repair costs and cars becoming more complex and parts harder to come by. All that's true. There's also been a huge thing going on with the FCA, and the long and the short of it is they don't want existing customers getting a worse deal than new customers. So basically they have to offer you the same price for both. I think all that's really done is put the prices up for everyone. There are some great points in there though. I mean, the fact that parts are really hard to come by now. Obviously the price of used cars has gone up, which means sort of the intrinsic value of the car you're insuring has gone up slightly. But prices are still a tiny bit lower than sort of pre-COVID. Car insurance did come down quite a bit during COVID because obviously there wasn't any traffic on the road or anything like that. Not unexpected to see car insurance prices going up. Now to Autocar, new Panamera and Taycan to lead Porsche's EV future. Porsche's new era to bring next generation saloon duo plus 4 more EVs. Obviously the Taycan's already out. The Panamera is being developed at the moment, the electric version of the Panamera, and then Macan and the Cayenne look set to follow. And then you have to think they'll be looking at the Cayman and the 911, possibly even a brand new model to come out as an EV. But certainly interesting things happening at Porsche. They've got a difficult job really because they've got to satisfy the true petrol heads and the people that complain about the fact that the 911's not air cooled anymore, and they've got to try and get those customers over to EV in the fullness of time. So they need to pull their socks up and really do a lot of thinking and try and hit a home run straight out the gate really. Liz Truss prepared to look at scrapping motorway speed limits. Frontrunner for next PM considers removal of speed limits, smart motorways on the chopping block. Replying to an audience question on the final debate before the deadline for Conservative Party members to vote for their next leader, and thus the next Prime Minister, Truss said she's prepared to look at scrapping limits. A total removal of speed limits would take the UK's motorway network a step further than Germany's Autobahn network, which is only de-restricted in places. For those sections, an advisory limit of 81 miles an hour is in effect, and drivers who cause an incident by exceeding this face legal consequences. However, Truss added that she couldn't give a precise answer on the policy yet. In 2018, she advocated an increase to speed limits to 80 miles an hour to boost the nation's productivity. Regardless of who wins the leadership election, smart motorways are likely to be axed. Truss said, "We need to review smart motorways and stop them if they're not working as soon as possible." Rishi Sunak said smart motorways are unpopular because they're unsafe, and that the government needs to stop with the pursuit of policies that go against common sense. There you go. What are your thoughts on both of those points? Let me know in the comments. The new 2026 Polestar 6 EV sells out 1 week after public debut. Open roof electric gated tourer, which will follow the Polestar 5, sold out in 500 car launch guise. Now I did ask if a viewer was thinking of a Christmas present for me, that I'd like one of those, so please let me know if one of you has reserved one of those for me and indeed paid the bill, and I'll take you out for a beer or something. I like this thing a lot. The 2023 Smart #1 EV gets high-performance overhaul by Brabus. The German tuning firm adds four-wheel drive and Tesla Model Y rivaling performance to the compact crossover. So this is this new Smart EV. It's quite a funky looking little thing. I'm sure this is going to be quite popular if it turns out to be any good, of course. It's been revealed at the Chengdu Motor Show in China, featuring a huge boost to performance and sportier styling courtesy of the famed German tuner. So it's basically going to add a second motor to give it four-wheel drive, and it's going to bring the total output up to 422 horsepower, which will give you a 0-62 of 3.9. That's only just behind the Tesla Model Y performance, which is 3.5 seconds to 60, and the Kia EV6 GT, which is 3.5 seconds to 62. Now, the Model Y performance and the EV6 GT are going to be around about the 60 grand mark. The #1 Brabus will launch at 34,500 in China, Although Smart's yet to detail its UK pricing for the Brabus, it's expected to be significantly more affordable than the other high-performance EVs. BMW starts hydrogen fuel cell production for the BMW iX5. Fuel cells for the powertrain will be supplied by Toyota and constructed in-house by BMW. The hydrogen technology is going to be used in tandem with a high-performance battery in the architecture for the existing BMW X5. German car maker will use individual fuel cells supplied by Toyota, with whom BMW have collaborated on hydrogen powertrains since 2013. BMW will then fit other components, including wiring harnesses, compressors, anodes, and cathodes. Back to Polestar. Polestar increases revenue by 95% in the first half of 2022. The electric car firm brought in $1.38 billion compared with $538 million a year ago. The huge increase in revenue was mainly down to the rapid rise in vehicle sales. Polestar delivered a total of 21,185 cars compared with 9,510 in the first half of 2021, representing a year-on-year increase of 123%. Polestar's gross profit, meanwhile, rose to $17.6 million, which the firm attributed to the higher sales of Polestar 2. I still think that Polestar 2 makes a fantastic choice as a company car for people. Going up and down the motorway in one of those, it's more than an adequate replacement for an A4 or a 3 Series or something like that. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Despite my numerous and repeated requests to subscribe, the subscription numbers are still horrendous, so please do that. And thanks again for all the people that have bought me coffees. It really, really means a lot, especially those that buy a coffee every month or just are incredibly generous. You'll notice that they were mentioned at the start of this video, and I've done that just because I can't think of a better way to say thank you. So thanks again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.